We start by putting about a tablespoonful of sesame oil into a pot, which should be at a medium heat. Just start to heat that up. And then we pop in our sliced steak. And that will very quickly, on that medium heat, that will very quickly start to brown. Once that has nicely browned for a few minutes, then we add one very large chopped red chili, or 2 small ones, 3 cloves of garlic, and 1 thumb-sized piece of ginger, which has been sliced very thinly, as you can see. Give that a good stir. And then we add 2 tablespoonfuls of fish sauce. And 3 tablespoonfuls of soy sauce. We then add the juice of half of a very large lime. And we follow that with 1.5 litres of stock. Doesn't matter if it's chicken, beef, or vegetable, whatever your preference is. If you're doing a vegetarian or vegan version of this, then obviously you will want to use vegetable stock. The vegan version, I would recommend tofu. Pescatarian version, you can use prawns, or you can also, on a meat version, use chicken. Then finally, we will roughly chop quite a chunk of coriander into that before we leave it to simmer for approximately 15 minutes. Give that one final stir and we'll come back in 15 minutes and that will look and smell divine, aromatic and gorgeous. That has now simmered nicely for 15 minutes. So we can add our 2 pak choy, which we have very carefully chopped up into quarters. Give that a good stir and let it simmer for another 5 minutes. So now that that has very nicely reduced and the pak choy has softened hugely and the beef just smells divine, it's time for us to dish up and put some window dressing on. So firstly, we want to get a basket of rice vermicelli noodles for each one of the bowls. Now, many people don't understand the fact that these aren't cooked in advance. I detest when these come out a sloppy mess. They're much nicer when they're still slightly al dente, so much better to put them in raw. So if you get approximately a basket each for each one of the bowls, and then very carefully spoon over exactly enough mixture to cover that, and those noodles will start cooking straight away. And they only take a few minutes. You only have to let them soak for a few minutes. Just make sure that there's enough of the broth to cover them as well with each one of those bowls. And we'll let those soak for approximately 4 or 5 minutes and then put the finishing touches on. So those have now had a few minutes for the vermicelli noodles to absorb all of that gorgeous phở broth. So now we just do the window dressing, as I like to refer to it. A nice handful of bean sprouts on top of each. Once you stir these through, they will start to cook and they will be done within a minute with a lovely crunch to them. Then a dollop of coriander on each one. Some spring onions. And some lovely finely sliced red chilies. Then finally, we put a quarter of lime wedge on each bowl. You'll remember we used half of the lime in the original stock. So we've now used the other half with those 2 quarters. And there you have it, Vietnamese phở, tasty, aromatic, gorgeous, filling, and very, very low in fat. Would you believe it? It's our one-pot Vietnamese phở.